West Regional Championships. Off-screen, Crow on bottom. Going to be running Thunderous Incarnate, Sylveon, Cresselia, Heatran, Rhyperior, and Salamence. TheBattleRoom, going to be running Cresselia, Thunderous Incarnate, Heatran, Terrakion, Aegislash, and Gyarados. So, interesting teams.
So two teams that they share 3 Pokemon. You see Thunderous, Cress, and Heatran on both. Within a Rock Slide Pokemon, the Rhyperior makes me think that Harrison's team is likely Trick Room. And then Dragon Dancing Mega is likely between the Salamence and the Gyarados.
Right, there's nothing else on the other team that can actually Mega Evolve. It's going to be Salamence on Crow side, and it's going to be Gyarados on the TheBattleRoom side.
So compared to last round, we saw both players going after Hyper Voice. Here, Harrison does have a Sylveon, which could be really useful against Terrakion and Gyarados, but having Heatran and Aegislash on the other side will probably make him think twice about bringing it.
One thing to note is that both sides do have the Thunderous Incarnate. One of the problems with running Mega Gyarados, you got to find your options to get up those Dragon Dances to set up, really.
Right, and so we saw the Mega Gyarados win Worlds last year, but that was paired with Pachirisu to redirect those electric attacks. You commonly see things like Raichu or Amoonguss to redirect those electric attacks. Collin doesn't have any of that.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised to see if that Terrakion has Stone Edge, just to get rid of Thunderouses and stuff like that. Get the Thunderous off the field, allow Gyarados to set up, get going as fast as possible, really. But I'm interested to see what's going to happen. I mean, anything can happen here. Both teams are really excited.
Collin's always an exciting player to see his teams. Comes up with something cool to use.
Of course, Collin, really well known for using Trick Room. Not sure if it's going to be the case here, although he does have the Cresselia, Pokemon that we truly do miss, but I feel like it's not quite as good as it used to be.
No, the power is built up around it so much that taking Kangaskhan double edges is like it used to be taking Metagross Meteor Mash. It's just a different level of damage. And can't take as many hits, and that obviously weakens what Crest can do.
So we do see Thunderous, Incarnate, and Cresselia out for Collin's side. We do see Salamence and Cresselia out on Crow's side.
Not a good matchup for Salamence here. He doesn't want to get Thunder Wave, doesn't like a Icy Wind, a Hidden Power Ice, none of that. Wouldn't be surprised to see him get it off the field. Even damage-wise, it's going to have to boost a lot before it does enough damage to Cresselia to matter, and obviously Thunderous resists those aerialated returns.
And first turn, Salamence not going to want to stay in. Good move right there to probably switch it out. But is Collin going to be able to read into that? Rhyperior does make an appearance, and Rhyperior is one of my favorite Pokemon personally. It's really strong. It has a good ability, Lightning Rod, Solid Rock.
So the other Cresselia does go for an Icy Wind, trying to slow down that Salamence. Won't matter too much on either of these, and does pitiful damage to Rhyperior. May trigger a weakness policy, though.
It is weakness policy, and that's something I like to see.
Yeah, Rhyperior doesn't mind the speed loss and loves the +2 attacks, so switching into an Icy Wind is great.
Oh, Cresselia unfortunately cannot go for the Toxic, so...
Toxic's a really cool option for that Cresselia mirror. If their Cresselia is slowly dying to Toxic, and yours isn't, it's a huge advantage.
Right now, Rhyperior at +2. It's going to do some work against Thunderous. Same type attack boosted Rock Slide versus Thunderous. Thunderous
immediately leaving the field. Can't stay in on that.
Goes into Aegislash. Good switch right there. Good switch.
Cresselia is trying to get itself out of taunt.
That's also a good move. I mean, Cresselia does not enjoy being taunted, and really it's not going to be able to do too much against Cresselia or Aegislash on the other side of the field. As Cresselia is going to go for the skill swap, going to take away whatever ability it has.
Should be Solid Rock.
Solid Rock. It does take away the Solid Rock. So Cresselia now...
That'll make Flash Cannon do a significant amount more damage. Good play there. Icy Winds and Power Ices, too. That Sylveon coming in, already countered by the Aegislash coming in, not going to be that useful.
I mean, Cresselia does have Solid Rock. I'm not sure.
Probably won't matter.
Nothing on the field will really be able to do much for it right now. But Rhyperior does have Levitate. That could come into play later on in the game if Collin has Earthquakers on his team.
From team preview, it would have to be Terrakion or maybe Gyarados. It's unlikely. It won't matter much.
Right, and if Gyarados is hitting something with an Earthquake, it's probably just going to go straight for the Waterfall onto the Rhyperior.
And Terrakion for close combat, so I don't see that Levitate playing into this game.
It might help Crow, though, because he does have Mega Salamence, or most likely Mega Salamence. Could just easily... okay, we're just seeing skill swapping. Solid Rock now going to go on to Sylveon. And
Sylveon may not mind that if it takes the Flash Cannon easier. Obviously, Hyper Voice isn't really an option anymore.
And Sylveon's going to go for the Calm Mind. So one of the problems is right now Sylveon does lose the same type of attack boosted fairy typing of Hyper Voice.
But will take very minimal damage from the Flash Cannon now.
Or it might just go towards Rhyperior. We don't know where it's going to go just yet. Aegislash is going to go for the Rock Cannon. Rhyperior is going to protect itself. Yeah, interesting plays by Collin.
I'm surprised Crow stayed in with his Sylveon, knowing that he was up against Aegislash, and knowing that he'd already seen Skill Swap, knowing he was going to lose Pixelate. Obviously, we talked about that Solid Rock being helpful, but normal Hyper Voice is not very good. Obviously, won't do anything to Aegislash. I would have expected him to try to predict that Skill Swap and go to something that wouldn't be so affected by it.
I honestly think that Skill Swap is one of the more underappreciated moves in the metagame. A lot of Pokemon right now, they rely on their abilities to
we see all
work
these,
and function. As we see Sylveon go for the Hidden Power, going to be Hidden Power super effective against Aegislash in Blade Form.
Ground, most likely.
Ground for the Heatrans. Good move right there from Crow to pick up that knockout on Aegislash. And Rhyperior going to go for the Drill Run, +2 Drill Run.
No more Levitate.
That's right. And that's going to be able to pick up the knockout. So Crow going to take it very fast.
We talked about the possible advantages of Rhyperior getting Levitate. We didn't talk about the fallback of Cresselia losing it. And Rock Slide probably would not have done enough damage to get the knockout there. And so Drill Run was huge.
And Drill Run is one of those moves that a lot of people don't really look into. And we see Heatran come out, most likely one of those teams where you try to skill swap Levitate onto the Heatran.
Yeah, and what's interesting is we just saw 2 ground moves last turn, and now Heatran has to come in.
That's unfortunate.
And Rhyperior probably will go down to a Flash Cannon, but we already talked about how Sylveon with +1 special defense and Solid Rock isn't really scared of that Flash Cannon anymore. Going to be threatening that HP ground on Heatran the rest of the game.
Wouldn't be surprised to see a Protect from Rhyperior here to try to have Sylveon knock out that Heatran as soon as possible. Heatran does protect itself this turn. Is Rhyperior going to protect as well? Most likely it will. Rhyperior does go for the Protect, and most likely Thunder's going to get off a free attack right now.
Good. Collin there using Protect on Heatran to burn the Protect on Rhyperior. Couldn't afford to go down to HP ground this turn.
And Sylveon goes for the Hyper Voice. Normal typing Hyper Voice. How much damage is it going to do to Thunders at +1? Not too much.
You can just imagine how much more that would have been with the 1.3 boost from Pixelate, and the 1.5 boost for the same type attack bonus. Obviously, all that gone because it's a normal type attack now.
And still kind of unfortunate position for Collin. He's down 42.
It's going to be hard not to lose Heatran this turn, I think.
Right. Nope. Harrison just going to go ahead and switch out. The Rhyperior does not want to.
That's an interesting play to me. I feel like he double targeting the Heatran could have guaranteed it going down this turn, and then he'd be up against that 3 to 1, and the game is in hand at that point. Sylveon's going to look like it's going to get an attack off anyway, but definitely more of a risk.
Sylveon's still content with firing off Hyper Voices with that normal typing. I mean, it did a lot of damage. Critical hit on the Thunder is going to activate a Citrus Berry, maybe? Yes, it does activate the Citrus Berry. Interesting to see that Crow didn't try to target down that.
Yeah, if I was Crow, I'd be really happy to go up 3-1 and know that in Pokemon, a 3-1 read is really hard to overcome, and with a single targeting Pokemon like Thunder, it's almost impossible.
Right, and we see, I mean, that Hyper Voice is doing a lot of work. Cresselia would not mind facing off against Thundurus, I believe. Rhyperior itself, and we still have Salamence still in back too. Honestly, get rid of that Thundurus, and that should be the game too. Oh, but Heatran does get up a sub, and Heatran behind a sub is kind of cool. But you know, we forget that Salamence is still in back.
Yeah, there I think Collin was too worried about. The Ice Beam was the easy play for Cresselia to make, and now go up 3-1 this way. Taunt is great, but when you're losing, sometimes you have to make concessions to not necessarily do what is the most useful thing, because you need to get damage on the field.
And we do see the sub-lefties Heatran. That's probably my favorite set of Heatran. You know, it's pretty easy to get up a free sub if you have the right support, you know, for some switches and stuff like that.
Yeah, but even with the sub, down 4-1, it can't, obviously Cresselia won't be able to do almost anything, going to switch out. Sylveon is going to settle for going through the sub most likely, but if that's Earthquake, Heatran can't do enough damage fast enough.
Absolutely. We see Heatran go for the Heat Wave, maybe some lucky burns here on Salamence. Might give Collin a glimmer of hope, but most likely not.
I wonder if that means there's no Flash Cannon. I would have expected to see a Flash Cannon there.
Probably not. Probably Earth Power sub.
Yeah.
Protect. Sylveon just gonna go bypass bypass the substitute. Gonna go straight for the Hyper Voice. That did a pretty good amount of damage, and that should be the game most likely.
See, here,
does get the burn on Salamence, but
going through the sub is great, but you're still going to have to break it. You're not going to get enough Hyper Voices off to win the game with them, and so now it's going to still take 2 attacks to KO, whereas if you'd broken that sub, you'd be 1 Earthquake away from the game. That going through sub is alluring, but if you're eventually going to have to break it anyway, you might as well do it when you have the chance.
Hey, can we use that? Or do you have like a charger? There's no charger.
talk to a staff member. We do see Mega Salamence go ahead and Mega Evolve. Goes for the Earthquake, going to be able to break the sub. Did we see Cresselia switch in?
Yeah, so Cresselia switched in, knowing that Sylveon was going to go down that turn either way, to an Earthquake or a Heat Wave. This is where if that had been an HP ground last turn, that Earthquake would have KO'd. I don't think there's any way Crow can lose this game, but
we actually are starting our door prizing round.
And so now Earthquake can't miss.
So I have some door prizes for
It would take a lot of Heat Train for Tex to have enough burn damage to take down Salamence.
It could happen. It could happen.
I'm sure Collin will go for it. No reason not to.
I'd say Salamence is maybe
Raise your hand so Crystal can find you.
three or four protects away from not getting knocked out.
Yeah.
So I mean, 4 in a row. That's possible. Here's one of them. Let's see what happens. Cresselia goes for the Trick Room.
That's an inexplicable play to me. You're faster and have the knockout in hand. Why Trick Room?
And the seniors at table 14.
That's bad because now Collin could easily Heat Wave. Heat Wave might even pick up the knockout here.
I think he's trying to get Sylveon to be faster, but if he gets a fully para there, this game could. I mean, Rhyperior, I guess, comes in and wins.
Right, Rhyperior still comes in.
I mean, Crow was so far ahead that almost nothing he could do could lose in this game, but it does feel like he's passed up a bunch of chances to win it earlier.
He-Rams goes for the sub, and that's going to be another Earthquake, I believe, going into that sub. So that should
Collin
be
not wanting to risk
double protecting. There's no reason to double protect there. You could have easily Heat Wave.
Well, I was going to say no reason to risk Heat Wave and it missing or not actually getting the KO on Salamence. This way, another turn of burn damage.
Right. And now one of the things that happens is Rhyperior is going to come in with Solid Rock. I'm not sure if that Earth Power is going to be enough to knock out that Rhyperior coming in fresh. You know?
Yeah.
It's still pretty fresh. It hasn't taken that much damage at all game long.
The Heat Wave damage could have been enough on Cresselia, but 2 of them could have gotten the knockout, and if you could stall the Trick Room turns, and then maybe KO Cresselia on the turn it tries to set up another Trick Room, you win this game. No, this is taking much longer to end than I would have expected.
Right, there's only 4 minutes left.
And I guess maybe Crow knows that's his win condition, nothing else matters, but he's not taking the full time either.
You may begin.
As we see the Cresselia Ice Beam hit the Heat Ram, gonna do a little bit of damage.
It's under damaging the leftover heal though, so it won't matter.
Right, and we see Cresselia is still there. I believe Rhyperior is going to be the one coming in right now. I don't know, critical hit could change things, I think.
What's like projecting out there? Like, what games are playing? Oh, you guys are playing right now?
So, Rhyperior comes in.
Right?
Now Trick Room will have to be stalled out. Obviously, that Drill Run can't. There's no way Heat Train survives it. Rhyperior is definitely slower, so Heat Train will have to protect.
Drill Run can miss.
And Collin doesn't even try to protect.
There it is. The Drill Run hits, and that is it. Collin is going to drop to 1-1 as Crow is going to go ahead and move on to 2-0. Going to try to, get through this regional tournament. And we saw an interesting battle right there. Crow had a lot of win options present to him already.